All right, we're live. So everybody, welcome to the Crypto Mining Tools podcast. This is episode 45, and today we have a special guest, Lee Kopang from OwlGuard Company, OwlGuardCo. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Lee, and then we'll get the discussion started.
Awesome. Thanks, Scott. Basically, OwlGuardCo is just a avatar that I use on Discord. So I don't know if our company financials are, going to go anywhere with that. But basically, it's just a avatar. But thank you so much for having me on the show. Looking forward to talking about my journey through crypto and answer any questions that you guys might have.
Yeah. So it sounds like you've really been in crypto for, a few years now, just like everybody else. Some people came in earlier, some people came in a little bit later. But when was it that you got started?
Yeah, so we were actually trying to figure that out right at the beginning. So yeah, it was 17, mid 17, kind of was a Coinbase user, nothing too high tech, but it was kind of one of those things. I caught the last bull run right before it, so it was kind of, I think that's what sparked the bug. I think I put like probably 1,000 in Bitcoin and another 1,000 in Ethereum and some Litecoin, and and all of a sudden turned 4K into 16 and was like, wow, okay, this is not quite like options trading, so maybe we need to pay a little more attention to that. And so at the time I was a full-time healthcare sales rep and options trader, and just had a lot of not free time, but I was a remote worker, so it was kind of messing around, watching YouTube videos on how to trade stocks. And I either came on VoskCoin's YouTube channel, or I saw, like, how sometimes there'll be like one of those YouTube channels and it'll be the ads for another video. Yeah, I was just like, I think I saw a GPU rig, and I was like, how many computers is that? That's pretty cool. I need to figure that out. And so had no idea what I was getting into at the beginning.
So, okay, so you got into crypto first, and then mining was something that you quickly learned about then?
Yeah, I mean, I have an office outside the house, and kind of one of those things where it was like the power was included, and it was kind of like, so wait a minute, when you say free power, like, do you mean like free power? And so kind of, I think I ordered my first rig from actually one of Vosk's friends that was getting out of the business. Because you remember what happened after the bull run. It just kind of started tanking, and so it was a good time to be buying gear because everyone was like just throwing it out the window. And the first rig that came, I mean, the thing was fully assembled. Like, there wasn't one pink static packaging material. It was like the GPUs were plugged into the actual into the board. I mean, it was kind of terrible now that I've shipped a few, but I was able to kind of look at it and piece back what the videos were talking about, seeing one in person. So it was kind of my first rig. It was a 6-card 1060 6 gigabyte rig, and was mining Ethereum. Then went to Loki and a few others, and by that point I think I had I think my wife's watching, so she's probably not going to want to hear any of this. But I think I was my commissions from my healthcare job went to a separate account, and I think I was buying GPUs. Like, I think I had 2 or 3 showing up every day, to the point where we got up to about 60 GPUs, and it was I mean, people were giving them away. I was buying 580s for $100. They were brand new basically, and people were just giving them away because they, it was everything was catching on fire. And so now.
So you're talking about during the bear run after
the 3K Bitcoin days, when it was like all of a sudden it was like the likeliness of it going to zero was a lot more than it, ever going back up to 20K. So
yeah, for
some reason I just turned a blind eye and moved on.
So so you said you started with that one 6-card rig, and then you were all the way up to 60 rigs, you said?
No, 60 GPUs. So I got to about 10 rigs. Then I started getting into ASICs. And so it was kind of, I think, obviously I got 2 S9s, and then I got 2 L3++s. And so it was kind of, I was mining a little Bitcoin, mining a little Litecoin. I mean, I had these rigs all over this building. Like my building owner would call me and be like, "Hey, so I went upstairs and I found these 4 things that are just howling." And I was like, "Yep, okay. I just want to make sure they were yours." Okay.
So this was an apartment building, or you
No,
used it as a home?
so it's a manufacturing building, and so this building used to do the old. It was a Kodachrome, lithochrome building, and so power in this building has. I mean, like every room has 60 amp breakers. I mean, it's way over the top on what the power capabilities of this building are for what it's being used for. And so I never, I think I've tripped 1 breaker in 3 years, and just kind of have rigs. And I have another room outside of this, so it's a farm room that's running to ASICs, and then I have rigs in 2 or 3 other rooms in this building. And so I think I made it for about a year before my building owner was like, "So I think we need to talk about this. There's a few more rigs than I was thinking you were going to be running."
Yeah. So what was the heat situation there? Because I mean, if you're running rigs in a building like that, how are you exhausting the heat?
Yeah, so basically, it is a drop ceiling tile room that I was running the ASICs in, and so basically, I dissipated the heat. I brought in fresh air and then dissipated it up into the ceiling, and so that part of the building is actually not air conditioned. And so it was, I think before I figured out what I was doing, I think I went into the room. It's like 110 degrees Fahrenheit. I was like, "That's hot." So I got a little wiser after that, but it was, it's funny every time I walk by that hall. It's kind of like you just hear this little like howl down the hall, and for some reason nobody really asks what's going on.
Yeah, well, I know some people are used to seeing server rooms, and they're not quite as noisy. They probably not quite as hot, but yeah. Especially if you're adding ASICs to the mix, I mean that's definitely going to start heating things up pretty fast.
Yeah, I think it all changed kind of when when Cyacoin forked forked all the other miners off their chain. I think I was somehow able to get and snag, which now when I think of the price that I paid, it was kind of like wild that I paid that much. But I think I bought 2 for like $9,000. But I got them the week after the fork, and so at that time, 2 of them was making almost $100 to $300 every other day, and so it worked out swimmingly. But it was kind of one of those things where it was like, if I had done it again, I probably wouldn't have paid that much for a Cyacoin miner. Subsequent Cyacoin miners were quite a bit cheaper, but I mean that's the thing is then I met your friend at Sparta Data. I was able to flip. He flipped my first 2 Cyacoin miners. I think I made 2,000 off of them, and we sold them for 10. So I think I bought them for 8 and sold them for 10. But it was, all of a sudden I had 11 ASICs running, and it was kind of like, well, I think we're into this. There's no turning back.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, let's go back a little bit and talk about that. What do you know about that whole Cyacoin fork, and what did it do to miners? What was some of the controversy out there?
Yeah, so I mean, for the people that might not be familiar with that, basically what happened was there's a project called Cyacoin. It was basically decentralized file storing, trying to take on a AWS or a Dropbox type solution. And so what it did was there was a supplier, Bitmain had. I guess what would they have, that A3s that were on it, and a Silicon made some, and I mean they just pillaged that network. And so all of a sudden, Obelisk was going to be making their own, and they're the I guess is it Nebulous or Obelisk? They had they'd already started the production of theirs, and so all of a sudden their ASIC was worthless, and it hasn't even been released. And so they had this wild idea, which was very controversial because this is supposed to be decentralized. So if you're doing a centralized effort of saying, well, we're going to fork off everybody that's not us, it's kind of like, it's kind of sketchy. But for the people that were able to mine it the week of, it was extremely profitable. And so I think that was really the pivotal point in my career where it became a success story versus it being, like, well, gosh, I hope my wife never asks how much all these graphic cards cost or, whatnot. And so it's kind of wild now that I can sell them for $200 more than what I paid for them 3 years later.
Right.
That's just kind of wild to me.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, you've been involved in a lot of different projects over the last few years. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? I think you mentioned VoskCoin a little bit earlier, how
Yeah.
you kind of first saw, learned about mining from VoskCoin.
Drew was definitely real important in my mining career. I mean, it was kind of one of those things where I don't even think I had a Discord before. I grew up in the generation of don't talk to strangers, on the internet. I think that was all starting with, AIM as a kid. And so it was kind of like all of a sudden this concept of talking to people in a Discord was like, why would you do that? And so all of a sudden, I find his YouTube, started watching some of the videos and started kind of learning how to rebuild these machines, following the guides and, and looking into certain projects that he was reviewing. And so became part of the Discord. And so that's probably how most people know me, is I am a moderator for that Discord. I think I'm the 4th longest user for the Discord. That probably means that's probably why my wife is always mad at me, spending too much time over there. But I mean, that's how I learned, how to do that. It was kind of one of those things where there wasn't a lot of content out at the time. And so it was kind of revolutionary to have somebody specifically talking about cryptocurrency and how you can actually mine it. I mean, before it was like, if you weren't a farm, I mean, I don't think you could really get into it. And so, this is kind of when I became a hobby miner. It was quite a bit wild west. I mean, when your rig went down, it was nice to be able to turn to a Discord because you could ask, hey, I don't know why, this is working. That they'll say, oh, we'll try a riser, take out this riser, or put these clock settings on the GPU and it should, be better at cooling. And it's kind of one of those things where, I had to learn everything from scratch. I mean, I don't have a background in computing.
Right.
So it was kind of one of those things where it was like, I didn't know that there were other nerds out there that were just as excited about this as I was.
Yeah. And then, so you've stayed involved with VoskCoin in a deeper way, or?
Yeah. So we me and another individual there, Greer, we help him out, kind of help moderate the community, as well as moderate with his girlfriend, Miss Vosk. So whenever there's a live stream or whatnot, you got to kind of keep the comments, in check. So it's people are always trying to share their wallet address or whatnot.
Yeah, their Ethereum address. Yeah.
It's like, so you got to kind of patrol that pretty quick. And so involved in VoskCoin talk as well. That was kind of where we were having a lot of information that was going on in the Discord, and there was just these really knowledgeable users. I mean, there's some really powerful people over there in terms of this community. They all kind of united over there. And so it's kind of, we were, people would ask the same question day after day. And it was kind of like, can you not scroll up, like just look right above here. And so sure enough, we decided that it was time to create a forum where we could actually link out some of these articles. Once we had a solution or once somebody talked about something, we could go in there and actually, be like, this is how you fix that problem that you just asked and the guy above you just asked. And so it was nice to be able to actually have that resource.
Right. Yeah. Sounds like a great resource for sure. Having that forum, having Discord chats, YouTube videos, and I know. I mean, there's all sorts of different communities out there as well. We've got Telegram groups based on different topics as well. And I find that there's your Discord users and then there's your Telegram users, and sometimes
I'm always on you on that. I can't catch up. I don't know what it is. It's something about, it's like a different language. Like I can Discord all day long, and then I get on Telegram and I'm like, how do I use this again?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's good to be able to kind of bridge the gap, because I feel like there's this whole separation. So that's why we've made a Telegram connection between the two in the actual Discord, so that people that
right.
didn't want to leave Discord could stay there, and then people that wanted to be in Telegram exclusive. I mean, I understand your use of it. I mean, it's a great overseas tool to be able to communicate with some of these farms.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, well, let's just take a little break here, and I'd like to mention the upcoming conference, Mining Disrupt. So I know a lot of people have heard about this. It took place last year in July as well. So there's the website, miningdisrupt.com. It's actually taking place July 20th to 21st. We're going to be there. You're going to be there, Lee?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is where all the miners hang out. There's other conferences out there that are, more just crypto related or blockchain related. But this really was the first conference that I've ever seen that was specifically Bitcoin mining related. And so, yeah, we had a great time last year. We're actually Distributed Ledger Inc. That's DLI. We're going to have a booth there, and we're sponsoring as well. I think our name's going to be on the lanyards, and maybe the Wi-Fi sponsor as well. So we'll see. But anyway,
that's the most legit sponsor there. Is everyone wants to know, like, who's got the Wi-Fi?
Yeah, how do I get on the Wi-Fi? So you might see our name there as well. So. Yeah, Crypto Mining Tools and Distributed Ledger Inc. will be there, and it should be a really great time. Yeah. So anyway, why don't we just talk a little bit about some of the tools that you've used in the past? When you were first getting into mining, you were trying to figure out, okay, you've got these GPUs, or you've got these ASICs. What's the best coin to mine? What did that kind of look like for you as far as picking that?
Yeah, no. So basically, it's obviously I started out on VoskCoin. That was kind of I had no idea what I was doing. It was kind of nice that he had a myriad of different gear that he was reviewing. So I even remember when he started doing ASICs. Everyone said, "Oh, he's selling out. He's going to the ASICs." But I mean, that's just really that's where the mining is leaning towards. It's a dedicated machine that just does that. And so obviously the GPUs, I've loved them just because of the resale ability. It's kind of a little more secure. You can do it and then get out of it. It's not just hope this works out and it's not a doorstop later. So but yeah, no, I mean, I kind of after that I started going to whattomine.com. That was obviously a great tool. I'm a big hardcore SMOS user. It's kind of one of those things where I know there's a lot of other solutions out there, but I'm so handy with SMOS and they update all their stuff so quickly that it's kind of like, why mess with a good thing? And so use that.
Now, what's that word you were saying? SMOS?
Yeah, SMOS, Simple Miner. So basically what it is it's a Linux-based distribution specifically for GPU mining. And so you basically go in there and you can set up a rig, you can monitor it remotely. And so, it's funny. I forget to check it until 10 p.m. And so I'll all of a sudden a rig will be down. I'll be like, oh babe, I gotta go restart our rig real quick. And so it didn't take me long before I started getting some Wi-Fi switches because it was only so fun rushing off a mile and a half from my house at 10 p.m.
Yeah.
You can only do that so many times and get away with it.
So having those the ability to remotely turn on and off an outlet to restart the miner, you mean?
Yeah. So basically, if you go in there into the motherboard and bypass the start switch, when you go in there, you can kind of basically just toggle and power cycle it. I mean, people joke and tech support, if you tried turning it off and turning it back on. But I mean, that's really the best. I think it's probably one of my most powerful tools I have when it comes to mining. There'll be things that you don't know why it's not booting correctly, but if you power cycle it another 5 times, somehow that's the magic number.
Yeah. So I'm seeing in the comments, people are commenting here. It looks like VoskCoin is online, and he's saying, "Hey, have you been biking to work?"
Yeah, so there's a few months a year that it actually is nice and comfortable to bike from. I live about 1.5 miles from here, so it's that's an electric bike as well. So I mean, it's kind of nice when you're in traffic and you can pedal, and then a car gets behind you, you can kind of zip up in front of them. They're kind of like, oh wow, okay. And so but then it gets hot here, so it's kind of one of those things where I'd say 8 months of the year it is not a good idea to bike to work, because you'll get to work and feel like you need a shower. So it's so that's probably it's hard to bike to work when the bike's already at work.
So you're down in Alabama, that's right?
No, I'm in Georgia. So
Georgia,
yeah. So yeah, it's it gets we got 10 months of summer here, so it's got its ups and downs. If you have a pool, it's great, but if you don't, it's you about August you want to get the heck out of town.
Yep. So yeah, you talked a little bit about earlier about some of the coins you're mining, but what about right now? What are some coins that you're watching, or maybe some projects that you are interested in?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, I think they did comment about CPU mining. I've done some CPU mining, basically SSHing into the Simple Miner platform. Simple Miner doesn't actually support CPU mining. So I can't say I'm a big CPU miner. I've done some Monero, I've done some Loki, but I mean, I don't think I ever caught the CPU bug. I think it's cool. I think it's super power efficient, but I just didn't have. I had Celeron, so it was kind of one of those things where it was like if you have a nice AMD CPU, it might be worth it. But I never had them, so it was a moot point. But basically. I think Ethereum is always on the radar. I mean, in terms of being a GPU miner, anything that's double what the other coins are, obviously you're going to gravitate towards. I'll be interested in seeing what actually happens with this 1599 or 1559.
The EIP.
Yeah, the EIP. I think I could kill it, but I mean, as if they're not doing enough things to kill their project. So it's it's. I don't know. So it's like, Ethereum's always the kind of go-to. They're the Mac Daddy of GPU mining. Bitcoin, always got a Bitcoin miner running. So I've got 2 S9s that I bought for $150 a piece in the 3K Bitcoin. I think I've made my money back like 10 times over now. So it's kind of like, I know I can sell them for like $400, but they were my first ASIC, so it's kind of like, I don't know. I feel like you're supposed to like hold on to your first. That's probably not true. And my wife's probably like, "What do you mean you've made the money back and they're worth more? You should be selling those." So no, it's kind of one of those things where I'm always running those. I've been running the Cyacoin miners just because. I don't. They've made their money back and then some, quite a bit more, and so it's kind of one of the things where it's like they're not really worth selling at this point, just because there's so many more efficient Cyacoin miners. So they just they still make $17 a day. They're not anything exciting, but at the same time, $17 is $17 a day.
Right.
So doing that. Let's see. Let me pull up Simple Miner real quick. So I've been doing Ethereum and ZIL quite a bit. That is something that I think is just really cool, because it basically cycles off 6 to 8 times a day. You're not really dual mining. It basically just switches off into ZIL. But I mean, you make an extra $300 a month. Anything that adds to it is cool with me. And I think it's kind of a cool little project that they've allowed Ethereum miners to kind of piggyback their project. I mean, there's a lot of Ethereum miners, so I think it's a good little concept.
Yeah, so I don't know what that is. I've never heard of Ethereum ZIL.
Okay, well, I guess I'll be hassling you in Slack after this about learning how to do it. Yeah, so basically what it is instead of like Cyacoin, how Ethereum and Cyacoin used to be dual mining, they're not actually coinciding. So basically, it's almost like the downtime of a reboot. So like it's as if it rebooted 6 or 7, 8 times a day, but it never actually did. And so if you think about that, that's kind of an acceptable amount of downtime, with a rig. It's like nobody's really going to ever be like, oh, but it restarted 6 times, so it's down for 10 minutes. So basically, in those 10 minutes, it does 1 or 2 minute bursts. Something called, I think it's called sharding. But basically, it mines quickly, does the execution, then it switches right back up to Ethereum. So it's kind of one of those cool little projects that I think it was a smart play. I mean, you got such a big resource with Ethereum miners. Why not?
Yeah, interesting. So there was a comment from Shaka Zula saying, which coin is next in line after Ethereum 2.0?
That's a good question. I think that there's going to be quite a few actually. I think that I think what's going to happen is obviously people are going to get upset that. Let's see. I mean, I've always liked Haven. I think Haven's really cool. I learned about it from a buddy, Jim, in the Discord, and it was kind of one of those things where during the heat of Columbus, it gets hot. So it's kind of one of those things where Ethereum mining and hot don't really mix well, and so Haven runs real cool with Kryptonite Heavy, I believe, or Kryptonite Haven. There's so many different Kryptonites I can't keep up anymore. But it runs super cool. 40 degrees in the middle of summer. That's like a miner's dream. And so it was kind of one of those things where it's a project that I like supporting. So I think it's a cool coin. I think that's going to really take off when Ethereum blows up. I mean, Ravencoin's always cool. I've mined quite a bit of that. Ever since they went to Kapow, though, it keeps those wires hot. So it's kind of one of those things where you don't want to have splitters on your rig if you're going to run something like that. It's a lot more electrical intensive. So you really need to have good rigs if you're going to be doing Ravencoin.
Cool. Okay. So there was some talk earlier offline about investing into crypto using your stimulus check.
Yeah. I would be surprised. I wish I got one, but at the same time, it was. I bet you that's where like 60% of all of that stimulus check went to. It either went to that or the stock market. So we've got this whole new trend, with Wall Street bets. There's, all these people that are becoming stock traders that, have never probably looked at a stock chart in their life. And then all of a sudden, they're like, well, I don't get this, but maybe I might get, investing into Bitcoin. And so I think stimulus is great. Every time there's an announcement for it, Bitcoin moons. And so, I'm in that regard, I'm all for stimulus checks. But, I think that's the thing is I think, one strategy that people always ask, which one should I invest in, or obviously it's, not financial advice, but, the dollar cost, there's a website called dcabtc.com or something like that. But I always forward that to people because, if you don't know which one to get into, Bitcoin's always going to be here. It's kind of one of those things that's almost too big to fail at this point. So, I've always thought dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin, that's really, it shows you exactly how much, if I invest $10 every Wednesday, or if I invest $100 every Wednesday, it'll show me that, I can make 70% over 3 years. I mean, you can't get 70% any other market. I mean, that's what's wild. Yes. I mean, it's like, if you invest at $10, it's going to be at 666%. I mean, that's killing it, if you ask me.
Yeah.
So, I've always thought, I've always been a top 100 kind of guy. I'm not much for speculation. So it's like my thing is once they get into the top 100 and top 200, I'm starting to pay attention to them. So it's, there's quite a few that I like, but, don't want to shout them from the rooftop because some people don't, want to hear. But
yeah. No, so I mean, with Bitcoin, sometimes we'll hear the argument, oh well, it's too expensive now, or maybe I missed the boat or whatever, But like you're saying, dollar cost average, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I don't think people understand. Everyone's used to a stock where it's like, okay, well, Apple's $120. I can only afford 100 or one of those. People I can't afford 100. That's a lot of money. So people don't realize that you can buy such fractional amounts of Bitcoin. I think like everyone thinks like, well, I need a Bitcoin. And yeah, I mean, if you get the opportunity to buy a whole Bitcoin, I mean, take it. But at the same time, buying closer to the top is usually not great investment advice. So I mean, I think it's what, buy high, sell low is the new strategy.
Right. Yeah, no, I remember, back in 2017, probably when you were getting into it, I was telling all my friends and family, hey, you should get into Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin. And then, anyone who was getting in at that point, they saw their returns going down pretty quickly for
a
quite a
long
while.
time. Like I think it was what, 2 years we had that winter. So it was, I remember being like, oh man, I've got 40K in crypto. This is wild. And then all of a sudden it was like, I have 20K in what? Like what happened? I was killing it. And then obviously with this bull run, that number exuberantly changed. So it was good. I'm a hodler. It's some people like to. I'm an options trader when it comes to stocks. So I've got enough to stress about in terms of turning my hair gray or whatnot. So it's like I don't trade as much as I should for crypto. If I buy a bag, I stick to it until it's a price that I want to sell it for. So it's worked out very well for me. I think it's just the easiest way to do it. Passively let it happen.
Yeah.
Pick good projects.
Well, changing topics a little bit here. You've recently joined the DLI team.
I did. So yeah, I'm the director of financial services, and so I'm finding out that title is very open-ended. So I feel like each week I'm working on a new project, or I'm now thinking I should have narrowed the title more. Financial services has a lot of things that can fall into that. So it's
right.
But it's exciting. It's fun to go full time. I mean, it's different becoming a hobby miner than it is going professional crypto. It's probably not for the faint of heart. Most people don't even probably know you can have a job in crypto. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, oh, you mean that thing that you told me to buy in 2018? Like, no, it's like, that's my job, like a job. And so I don't think people even realize it's a whole industry out there. And so it's definitely different. The projects are a lot more vast, but the opportunity in blockchain, I think, is something that's just the next decade is gonna be really exciting. I think we're still very early on this. We think, you and me think this is normal, but I mean, my wife still thinks like, you just shut up about that. I don't really care about that cryptographic equation. Like, I'm like, but you should, it's awesome.
Yeah, sometimes trying to explain it to other people, their eyes kind of glaze over.
Oh, like I don't even think she hears it anymore.
It's like, are there other things to really talk about in life?
No, I mean, that's the thing, man. If you don't wake up excited at 7 a.m. to go to work, I mean, you're in the wrong job. And I was in healthcare for the last decade. I made a great living. It just never excited me. I mean, I felt like we were doing digitalized forms sometimes. Like we weren't really innovating for these hospitals, and so it was kind of one of those things where it didn't light the bug like a crypto mining rig did. And so it was kind of one of those things where I was good at it, but paid the bills. And so I finally, I think last July, I went full-time options trading. And obviously my wife was very supportive, and but you take special individuals to be full-time entrepreneurs. My wife owns a store, council studio, and so it's she does women's clothing, and so it was kind of one of those things where I ran an Airbnb business before that. So you really got to be an entrepreneur if you want to go to not having one safe job. It's not for probably most people.
Right.
But I've loved it. So went full time with DLI in February. So it's exciting.
Yeah. So what's a project that you're working on? What's an example there? I know you don't want to.
Yeah. No, I mean, so there's some that I can't talk about right now, but we've got an exchange that's about to launch, Bolsa DX, and so it's an exchange for Latin America, and then as well we have a payment remittance system where we're able to So instead of like a Western Union or MoneyGram, it's the ability to load a card immediately. So, being able to transfer funds for individuals in different countries. I mean, that's just a challenge that so many people don't realize. You've got your Bank of America, a Regions card, something, you just, your check goes in there and you use your debit card, and, you just don't think about it. It's super easy. And that's just not something that's always afforded to every country. So that's a challenge we hope to solve for individuals, being able to get that money to their families without taking 10%. I mean, some of these fees to get, international wires are outrageous. So yeah. I think crypto is going to change all that. You can do an instantaneous transfer for pennies.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, crypto has a good potential to change that for sure. So yeah, just finishing this conversation up, just wanted to talk a little bit about you actually coming on board as a co-host here on the Crypto Mining Tools podcast in the near future.
Yeah, no, I think we were waiting to see how this went before we say anything, because I guess at the end you could just be like, nah, that's not going to work. You're terrible at this. Yeah, so I'm excited. I'm going to be coming on and helping you co-host, and we'll be bringing on all kinds of individuals. I think we're going to kind of, obviously we love talking about mining. We don't think it's weird, but I think we're going to kind of add some different topics as well. Kind of talk about how blockchain's affecting normal industries, bring on some individuals that are entrepreneurs, and kind of talk about how they're experiencing blockchain. Obviously we're always going to be talking about mining. I don't think, we love it. So it's why stop talking about it. It'll probably be the last thing, last word. They'll be like, reset the rig.
Yeah. Well, so anyway, it was great having you on.
Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing you around here more. And it's good to have you on the Distributed Ledger Inc. team.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing all about how you got into crypto and into mining. And yeah.
Appreciate everybody coming to watch.
All right, guys. Take it easy.